JBN, we keep you informed. I am Michelle Jones, and in the news, love triangle turns deadly in Hanover. 22-year-old painter Jamur Lee of Dundee Pen, Hanover, is now facing a charge of murder following a post-mortem done on Tuesday on the body of 23-year-old Andre Williams, his rival for the affection of a woman in the parish. According to the police, on October 4, the two men turned up at the same time to the house of the 24-year-old woman with whom they both shared a relationship. An argument developed, and both men pulled knives and started to fight. Williams ran from the house and was reportedly chased by Lee, who later returned to the house and was seen washing what appeared to be blood off his body at a standpipe. Williams was not seen or heard from following that encounter. A missing person report was later made at the Lucy police station, and the woman gave a statement outlining her version of the incident. An extensive search was carried out in the area, but Williams was not found. 2 days later, residents stumbled upon a partially decomposed body in the Arvey River. When the police arrived, they were not able to identify any visible injury to the body due to the partial decomposition. The woman's also was processed, and the body was moved to the Noel Holmes Hospital, where Williams was pronounced dead. Lee turned himself into the police hours after the body was found. Former public defender Earl Whitter robbed at gunpoint. Former public defender Earl Whitter was this morning held up and robbed by armed men in East Kingston. In confirming the incident, Whitter said the men stole his Toyota Crown motor vehicle, which had important documents inside. The incident occurred shortly after 8 a.m. at a motor vehicle body shop. Whitter subsequently filed a report at the Elliston Road Police Station, and the matter is now being investigated. He said that he is happy to be alive and isn't perturbed by the loss of his vehicle. However, he wants back his briefcase that was inside the car. I am alive, I am well and COVID-free as far as I know. I maintain my private practice and I consider myself in faith to be under the protection of the Almighty God, he said. My concern now is not so much the recovery of the motor car, which ranks as a material thing. What concerns me is the loss of irreplaceable documents in my briefcase, which were in the motor car which the brigands drove off with. Whitter was held up and robbed by armed men in 2012. In that incident, thieves stole a gold chain he was wearing. He reportedly sustained minor bruises in that incident after resisting attempts by the men to also take his gold bracelet. Residents protest police shooting in Waltham. Waltham Park residents took to the streets this morning to protest the police shooting of a young man from the area Tuesday night. The mother of the man said her son was on Campbell's Boulevard using free Wi-Fi when police drove up, shone a light on him, and shot him. She said her son knew one of the officers and kept asking him why he shot him. As they grew up together, he was taken to hospital where he has been treated. The mother and the dozens of residents who showed up to protest said they came out because the police were disrespectful in their dealings with the residents and had been dishonest about the series of events, claiming there was a shootout. We have to protest because we want justice. You know how much people putting inside here. Police said they serve and protect, and we should always give them information, and we must trust them, but we can't trust them. It's not everybody living in the inner city is a gunman. We want justice, she added. 3 credit card scammers found guilty a decade after being arrested. 3 men who 10 years ago were arrested and charged in what police investigators believe was the largest debit and credit card racket locally have been convicted for various breaches of the Cybercrimes Act. Tetlow Frith, said to be the mastermind, Carlos Burton and Jermaine Vernon were found guilty in the Manchester Parish Court yesterday, marking the end of a trial that began in 2013. They have been released on bail pending sentencing on December 8. Frith, Burton and Vernon were arrested in November 2010 during a series of coordinated operations in Manchester. At the end of the operations, detectives seized scores of credit and debit cards bearing the names of several Jamaican and American financial institutions. Investigators also found an embossing machine like the ones used by banks to press numbers and letters on one side of a debit or credit card, magnetic strips which store information about the bank and the card owner, skimming devices used to harvest information from legitimate cards, as well as laptop computers and other equipment used to make matching identification cards. Investigators believe the ring was responsible for manufacturing hundreds of cards that were circulated across Jamaica. They had everything to make gold or platinum credit cards. These are equipment that cost tens of thousands of US dollars, one law enforcement source said. According to evidence led in court by prosecutors Christine Shaw and Udine Williams, an unauthorized credit card transaction at a movie theater in Mandeville was what alerted investigators to the scheme. A ticket clerk at the theater revealed in a statement to investigators that Frith gave him a small device with a split in the middle and instructed him to swipe credit cards in it as he processed payments for movie tickets. He admitted that he complied with the request and recounted visiting Frith and two of his cronies and watched them attach the device to a laptop computer before downloading the information it captured. COVID hits cops hard. More than 230 members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the JCF, have tested positive for COVID-19 since the first case was recorded in Jamaica in March. Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson provided the numbers earlier today during a virtual media briefing as he indicated the impact that the pandemic has had on the JCF, which has just over 11,000 active members. We have had 171 persons recover from COVID, and we currently have 68 active cases. But we have 239 members currently in quarantine, said Anderson, who did not indicate if the JCF has recorded any COVID-related deaths. Meanwhile, some 37 members of the correctional services and 24 inmates in total have tested positive for the coronavirus. This was disclosed by a minister without portfolio in the Ministry of National Security, Matthew Samuda, while addressing a digital press conference today. Samuda said 128 employees were tested for the virus, with the results of 7 currently pending. He also revealed that a total of 271 inmates were tested. 11 of the positive prisoners have recovered. Samuda said that the government is actively looking at persons who are being held at the court's pleasure with a view to release, in particular instances, some of these inmates. Concerns have been raised in recent months that several persons have been in custody for years at the court's pleasure. These persons are typically held because they were deemed to be unfit to enter a plea. Samuda said that there is an active dialogue with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, the courts, and the Ministry of Justice on the matter. Conversations are ongoing and plans are nearing completion for these inmates to be held in alternate facilities. Samuda also divulged that there are groups of persons within the penal system who should not have been incarcerated for the period that they have been imprisoned. They are our priorities in terms of moving through the legal system to ensure that they are released on a case-by-case basis in an appropriate time. He also said that the government was taking steps to establish a prison infirmary for inmates who stay long enough with us to become infirm and need particular care. We are also very clear that we also need to move rapidly with the development of a forensic ward to deal with mentally challenged inmates. He mentioned that 16 inmates are bedridden, 2 of which are being held at the court's pleasure. Work continues on Cornwall Regional Hospital. Chairman of the Cornwall Regional Hospital's Independent Oversight Committee, Professor Archibald McDonald, says work continues on the main hospital building, but the rehabilitation process has slowed as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. In an interview with JIS News, Professor McDonald explained that work on the roof of the 10th floor under the first phase has been completed, with Phase 2 now in progress. Phase 2 includes the gutting of the entire building and the demolition of interior walls. The work is proceeding, but it has slowed down because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Some parts have been completed, like the roof. They are moving down from the 10th floor to work floor by floor. All the roofs have to be fixed, and then there's some major work in terms of covering some of the open spaces, Professor McDonald said. He noted that the projected timeline for the completion of repairs to the hospital tower will likely extend into 2022 as a result of the pandemic. I think the last time I spoke with the media, I had said the end of this year, but we are falling completely out of line because of the pandemic. So we are looking at the end of 2021 going into 2022, he informed. Professor McDonald outlined that the committee is expected to furnish Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, with a report within the next 2 weeks, detailing the committee's recommendation regarding the rehabilitation process. We have to wait on the details from the Western Regional Health Authority, so within another 2 weeks, we intend to have that meeting with the minister, he added. Since 2016, the hospital has been undergoing major rehabilitation work to address mold and air quality issues. The Cornwall Regional Hospital's Independent Oversight Committee was appointed by the Minister of Health to oversee the ongoing restoration at the Type A institution. 9 COVID deaths as infections surpass 8,000. An additional 9 COVID-19 related deaths and 78 new cases were recorded across Jamaica on Wednesday, according to the Ministry of Health and Wellness. The deceased are a 66-year-old male and a 44-year-old female from Kingston and St. Andrew addresses, an 87-year-old female from St. Thomas, a 63-year-old female from St. Catherine, a 70-year-old male and a 82-year-old female from St. Elizabeth, a 92-year-old male from Manchester address, and a 75-year-old male and a 64-year-old female from St. Anne. The latest fatalities bring the death toll from the coronavirus in Jamaica to 160. The 78 newly confirmed COVID-19 cases bring the total number of cases on record for the island to 8,067. Recoveries increased by 50, bringing total recoveries to 3,481. Of the newly confirmed cases, 45 are females and 33 are males, with ages ranging from 1 year to 92 years. The cases were recorded in Kingston and St. Andrew 56, St. Anne 5, St. James 4, St. Catherine 2, Clarendon 2, St. Thomas 2, Trelawney 2, Westmoreland 2, Portland 1, St. Elizabeth 1, and Hanover 1. There are 47 moderately ill patients and 18 critically ill patients among the 4,320 active cases now under observation in Jamaica. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.